This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Y'all, just stop. Get real.
Welcome to DBL. I thought you were stealing my coffee.
No.
Apologize.
Our beloved Steve dropped off some French roast for us.
Thank you, Steve Gallagher, in the booth for the coffee. And Stephanie Jones. Thank you, Steve. Stephanie Jones joins us today. Welcome, Stephanie Jones.
Vision in yellow.
Thank you. I'll take it.
You look beautiful in butter. Like butter. All right, we're going all in the Grammys, okay? That aired last night. Queen Bee, Beyoncé, may have been a little bit late to the show, but she made history with 2 Grammy wins, breaking the record for most Grammy wins ever. During her speech for Best Electronic Dance Album, she actually thanked her queer fans. Take a look at this.
I'd like to thank my beautiful husband, my beautiful 3 children who are at home watching. I'd like to thank the queer community for your love and for inventing this genre.
It is.
But the Beehive, they're upset today, and I am too, that Beyoncé didn't win any of the most prestigious awards like Album of the Year. Now, that award went to one Mr. Harry Styles. He raised some eyebrows during his speech saying, quote, "This doesn't happen to people like me very often." He also performed last night, and some say, including again, me, he didn't sound very good. You be the judge. Take a look.
Holding me back. Gravity's holding me back. I want you to hold up the palm of your hand. Why don't we leave it at that? Nothing to say when everything gets in the way.
Okay, let's chat. Was Beyoncé robbed?
Yeah. I mean, Beyoncé should have taken home that major title. I love Harry Styles. I don't think his performance was that bad. He did seem a little deflated
Just
for Harry,
low energy a little bit.
Low energy, a bit like sad. Yeah, not as like upbeat as he normally is. He didn't have that pizzazz he normally has, although he looked fabulous. I wanted his like sparkly outfit so badly. But Beyoncé was robbed. I actually said to Riche, my partner, I was like, oh, why are we even going through this? I love Lizzo and I love Harry Styles, but let's be honest, no one's going to beat Beyoncé. And then when Harry got it, I almost fell off my chair. Couldn't believe it.
I agree with you. And just to put it in perspective, Beyoncé's never won Album of the Year. And there's things like Lemonade that we've had. And there's been rumors of Beyoncé always being skipped. So there were discussions of people leaving when Harry won. He also said people like me don't win a lot. What do you think that meant?
That's the one thing I will defend Harry on, because I know that he doesn't look like the traditional person that is marginalized. But when you can't control how somebody feels, I'm sure he felt like I come from nothing. I was a nobody. No one was paying attention to me, and I got this chance. That's how he feels.
Yeah, that's fair.
He felt like he was not marginalized, but just a nobody.
Right.
Which is almost worse. To be marginalized, at least I recognize you, and I'm trying to suppress you. The thing underneath that is feeling like you don't exist. So I do understand what he was going for with that. I do get the public response because of how he is viewed, but how he looks at himself inside, I think, is where he's coming from.
What do you think, Jeff? What do you think about it?
I don't think he was speaking to, hey, white guys don't win a lot of stuff. I don't think he was talking to that. I think he was talking about where he came from. He came from a boy band that was made by Simon Cowell and then broke off of that and won Best Album, right? So, I mean, that was a high honor. So by saying that, I think that's what he was referring to, not the internet chatter of, let's stir things up, a white guy doesn't win a lot.
Right.
Come on, enough with that. Beyoncé, I mean, how could you be snubbed when you have the most Grammy wins of all time?
Because I think she's won lots of, like, the littler awards, not like the main award of the night.
So I wouldn't call that snubbed.
To get
Is Tom Brady snubbed in the Super Bowl when he won 7 of them?
No, but for Album of the Year, she continuously, even like, remember when Kanye grabbed the mic from
Taylor Swift?
That was about Beyonce.
Yeah,
like, should have.
I'm sorry, but Beyonce had the best video.
Yeah, and so people continuously are like, why isn't she getting it for a very good compilation album?
And I would argue Hennessy grabbed the mic.
Hennessy did.
Hennessy grabbed the mic.
Real quickly,
Kanye happened to be associated.
How come no one's bringing up the fact that Beyonce performed overseas, you know, to a country that doesn't expect, you know, have gay marriages and things like that?
I think that's why
persecuted for that.
Too.
But then you mentioned that, but we just skip over it. I haven't heard a word about that.
Well, we discussed that on our show.
Yeah,
and I'm talking about today.
But it's interesting that you say, do you think she said the queer thing because of what Jeff's saying?
I think she was like showing her respect, making a nod and an homage to the style of music, her fans, and saying like, I'm here for you. And she's on a huge public stage where she's not being paid. She's there for an award. And I think that's why she was saying thank you so much to the queer community and that how much it means to her, because I think that was her chance to say it in a place where she could.
Interesting. That's very interesting. All right, another big winner last night was Lizzo, About Damn Time, who took us to church with a gospel rendition of her hit song, Special. Take a look. I can make that noise in the shower sometimes. Lizzo won Record of the Year, and during her speech, she gave a huge shout out to Queen Bee. Take a look.
In the 5th grade, I skipped school to see you perform. My sister, she got me out of school. It was literature. I'm good. And where you at, Beyonce? My eyes are wet. You changed my life. You sang that gospel medley, and the way you made me feel, I was like, I want to make people feel this way with my music.
Adele won Best Pop Solo Performance for her song Easy on Me. She also had a dream come true when Trevor Noah introduced her to The Rock for the very first time. They even hugged it out, and then he gave her the award later. He was the announcer. Cool. That was cool, yeah. Meantime, Bonnie Raitt, one of my absolute favorite singers of all time, looked absolutely shocked to take home the Grammy for Song of the Year. She called it an unreal moment during her acceptance speech. That was a big moment. Bonnie Raitt coming out of left field.
Right, but I mean, look, she looked shocked because I feel like she's a person that loves music and appreciates other artists. And like when she saw who she was up against, she was like, I can't believe I'm even hanging out with these guys. So I think when she won, she was genuinely taken back. But I always remember the quote Kurt Cobain said, the only people that love music are musicians. And if you love music, you'll eventually try and make it. And I feel like when you look at her and you look at her career and who she's collaborated with, I was really happy for her. I really was. I just, as somebody that loves stand-up and loves comedy, I get where she's coming from.
She's like a real comic, like they say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect way to put that.
Yeah, she's never won songwriting ever, which she's amazing at. What do you guys think of Lizzo thanking Beyonce? I thought that was cool.
Epic. I mean, literally, I think we all, okay, maybe I'm speaking for just myself, but no, I can't be. We all love Beyonce. Literally growing up with her, she was like the one person I was like, when she broke free from Destiny's Child, I was like, yes, she can make it. I even remember my dad, he watched her when she did Crazy in Love, and he was like, she is going to be one of the most famous people that we'll ever see, one of the biggest performers. Yeah, when she did Crazy in Love. My dad from Yorkshire, like literally, he has no idea what he's talking about. It's like, she is going to be so famous. He's like, I root for her. And I was like, yes, look at her. How could Lizzo not thank her? We're like such a huge influence.
Yeah. It's a lot like when Adele did it, remember? She was just like,
yeah, and when Adele was like, this for Beyonce.
This is for you, Beyonce. Yeah,
I bet Beyonce is just like, all right already. I know, I'm so fabulous.
I know.
I was going to say, side note, I cut school when Wu-Tang Forever came out.
There you
and I got the CD, yeah.
I cut school for Paul Simon.
Ooh, were you 48 in school?
I was. Okay. Coming up on DBL, the 50th anniversary of hip-hop tribute at the Grammys brought all the icons, and we'll be getting the inside scoop on behind-the-scenes Grammys moments from entertainment experts Kevin Frazier and Nichelle Turner. Our viewers are talking about DBL.
Yes!
I like that.
Leaves me speechless. I'm like blushing.
Thank you, thank you.
That's emotional.
Do I want to sit there and watch them? Yes, I do.
I think, Steph, that's really funny that Beyonce, she cracked your dad. That's what MC Hammer did to my dad.
Crazy?
My dad saw MC Hammer and he goes, that guy can really dance. And my dad hated rap. Hated it. So like to see him accept, like it's a weird thing when like you cross generations going up.
Yeah,
you know?
my dad honestly was like this. Like my dad is like super like working class, tea drinking, like builder loving, like get me stuck in the mud building stuff kind of guy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he was like watch Beyonce in like a little tiny dress and Crazy in Love, like flicking hair, and he was like, yeah, she's a superstar.
Yeah, it's like I think it must have been when you first saw Aretha or a Michael Jackson.
Yeah,
I remember.
Like, she's it.
Was it who asked to see Michael Jackson's birth certificate? Was that Quincy Jones? Someone asked because he couldn't believe he was so young. They asked to see, but with certain people, you're just like.
Yeah.
And my husband worked on pop-up video. Do you guys remember that?
Of course.
And he did all the Beyonce, and I was a little jealous about that. But they were like, Beyonce's mother knew too. Like the whole family knew.
I think like I always loved Destiny's Child, and she obviously was always like the main vocalist out of the group. But when she went solo, her star power just excelled to another level. Right. It was like she finally, I mean, she always stood out vocally and when they were dancing and everything, but when she was by herself, the way she commands the stage and she has that presence.
Yeah, what was that one? Homecoming. I watched that documentary and I was like, oh my word, this woman!
Homecoming was the one that just like that killed. I was in Idaho when I watched that. I was
like, no one works harder than that ever.
That was she almost died doing that.
Yeah,
I mean, she really gave me Kobe Bryant.
She has to, like Navy SEAL. You have to achieve. Yeah.
I guess I'm just a radical. Dogs are radical. Yes, to make it critical. The only part of your body should be part of you. Get the power on the eye from the revenue. Yo,
Oh, that was Chuck D and Flava Flav from Public Enemy reuniting for the 50th anniversary of hip-hop tribute at the Grammys. Grandmaster Flash and Run DMC kicked off the tribute. Other performers included LL Cool J, Queen Latifah, Method Man from Wu-Tang Clan got Jay-Z out of his seat, and Missy Elliott looked unrecognizable. Other artists included Nelly, Busta Rhymes, DJ Jazzy Jeff, and Salt and Peppa.
Just say my complete childhood and, college years and post-college. That's just your whole life.
That was amazing.
Everybody that came out, you're like, okay, that was the summer of this. That was when I was dating this person. That was senior year of high school. My whole life, I was really, I was surprised at how well it came off. I think LL went under the radar as he was hosting.
Yep.
And then the next time you see him, he is head to toe, 19-year-old LL out of Brooklyn. Crisp looks the same. Jeff, talk. I can't talk anymore.
No, I was with you, man. That was my favorite part of the night by far. And I hope they I don't know if they could do that every year, but there were so many groups that they were missing too, right? And he even said it. He goes, listen, I know everyone's going to be upset. This is the show we put together. They did a fantastic job. I'm not knocking it all. The nostalgia, the throwback, Flava Flav. I mean, everyone from doing their thing. It was just like every time someone new came out, it was like childhood. You know what I mean?
It was a big deal.
And I think Steph too. Sorry to just interrupt, but the Grammys and hip hop have had an interesting relationship, right? We've seen Jay-Z.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah, boycott, and people boycotted it because of how outrageously they treated that genre. To see it now being honored this way, what did you think?
Oh, I thought it was amazing. The only thing. It's not that I didn't like it. The only thing, I just wish Missy Elliott had shown her face because you couldn't see her at all. And I was like, come on, Missy, we've not seen you in so long. Give us what we need.
Missy is like low-key, I would say a third of the women in this country, in this world's like
top.
Yeah, I can't say spirit animal. I don't know what the word is anymore, but just like Missy just embodies something.
That made it.
I was like,
I love her.
I was trying to dance. That's what I was doing. All right, let's talk about someone who just like wasn't that happy. Ben Affleck. He's taking over the internet once again. Wah, wah. Sorry. Images of Ben sitting with J-Lo looking bored have, of course, gone viral. In this one, someone on Twitter wrote, Ben Affleck, blink if you're okay. In another, J-Lo is dancing along to Smokey Robinson and Stevie Wonder. But Ben, not so much. And in this photo, someone wrote, however bad of a day you're having, I promise you're not as miserable as Ben Affleck at the Grammys. So here's the deal. He just constantly does this, and I don't know if it's on purpose or not, and memes come out like immediately, right? And is it just his face?
I think it's his resting face, just doesn't look super perky. But I did see lots of other videos of J-Lo kind of like giving the nudge, like, get it together. Yeah. And she was kind of telling him. And then the camera came and she was perfectly like, hey guys. So I think she didn't look as perky either, so I think
trouble.
There was a bit of trouble in the water.
There was trouble.
A little bit.
Yeah, I felt the same thing too. Dave Holmes wrote, "Could she not have brought an enthusiastic friend, like someone who could be?" What do you think? Was it nothing?
But those are her friends. You know what I mean? Like when you go to a party and you're with my friends, I'm gonna have a good time. When I'm with your friends, let's just get through the night. You know what I mean? And I think that was Ben.
How can you say that when you saw her like Adele, Lizzo, Jay-Z?
For us, we're gonna be ecstatic, right?
So you think
but for Ben,
at that table?
He's Ben Affleck. People at other tables are looking at him. He does that 3 times a week during award season. He's over it. I'm with him, man. I want to stay home. These are your friends.
Yeah.
These are your friends.
I'll defend him in just saying this stuff. My dad, we used to always say that to him. We used to be like, "Dad, why do you look so sad?" He's like, "That's just how my face looks." And sometimes maybe that's just how, like you said, the resting. Maybe that's just how he looks. But should he be forced? Because would we be telling a woman smile? I don't know if he should be forced.
If a woman was making a pained face over and over at every award show, you got to be like, "Huh, what's
Maybe
going
he just
on?"
hates it.
Maybe he does, and that's allowed, and that's okay.
He just wants to go home and have a Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah, go get him some Dunkin'.
Cigarette that we see him with all the time.
Totally agree. Get him some Dunkin', like Steph said. Coming up on DBL Entertainment Tonight, Kevin Frazier and Nichelle Turner are here to tell us all about the best moments we did not see on TV. That's coming up next.
In this TikTok with more than 5 million views, a woman warns shoppers not to buy certain air fryers because of a label she spotted on the box.
Warning, cancer and reproductive harm. What?
But does this label mean a product has been shown to cause cancer? Let's verify. Our sources: California Proposition 65, the California Environmental Protection Agency, and the American Cancer Society. The label exists because of Prop 65, which California voters approved back in 1986. It says that if a product has any chemical that might cause cancer, that warning label has to go on it. You might see the label in other states too, since some companies don't want to make separate packages just for California. The list is updated constantly and right now has more than 900 chemicals. But it's not like California tested each product to see if it's actually dangerous. If there's even a tiny amount of any of the listed chemicals in the product, a warning is required by law. Not only that, if a listed chemical could be created by using the product, a warning is required. For instance, there's a chemical on the list that forms naturally when you cook certain vegetables at high heat, like in an air fryer. So even if that chemical isn't in the air fryer itself, the fryer still needs a label. We can verify, no, a Prop 65 warning label does not mean a product has been shown to cause cancer. It only means it contains or creates some amount of a chemical that could cause cancer. With your Verify, I'm Casey Decker.
This February, love is in the air with a luxury included vacation to Sandals Dunn's River. Watch DBL every day and start entering for your chance to win the trip of a lifetime.
Welcome back. We're continuing our Grammys talk and thought maybe we should bring in some folks who actually really know what they're talking about, not like we don't. Ouch. Joining us now, they are the co-hosts of Entertainment Tonight, here to give us the inside scoop on last night's show. Please welcome Kevin Frazier and Nichelle Turner, everybody.
That's right.
That was a Ron Burgundy moment. Was I really supposed to read that?
I know. Jeez Louise, I feel attacked.
Well, I love talking to you guys all the time, but especially after a big show like last night. Let's start with Beyonce, because it's in my contract. If I don't, I'm fired. So we talked a little bit about her earlier. She broke the record for most Grammy wins last night, but she was also a little late to the show. Now, was this being fashionably late, or was it really because of traffic like we heard?
Oh, LA traffic is terrible at any point in time. But here's my thing. Couldn't Beyonce come in a helicopter?
Yeah.
But why didn't Jay-Z give her a ride?
I mean, Jay-Z got there like 10 minutes before she did. I don't know what was that. Maybe they're like the president and the vice president, that they can't travel together at the same time. Maybe that's what it is.
If anybody had teleporting capabilities, it'd be Jay-Z and Beyonce.
For sure.
Yeah.
One of the highlights for me, no doubt, was Dr. Dre getting the Global Icon Award. I have to ask you guys what the energy was like in the room, because for me, as a 45-year-old guy, I feel like I'm fundamentally a different person because of how hip-hop has affected my life. So seeing Dr. Dre, who my mom's CD told me I couldn't buy, to him getting the Global Icon Award, it was kind of like a coming of age.
You know what? I'm a little bit of a nerd, Al, in that, right? And so I go back and I listen. Like, I went back and I listened to the Straight Outta Compton album. I listen to it often. But when you listen to the beats that man was making back in 1985 and think of how ahead of his time he was, it's ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous. And to hear him talk about how, like, Grandmaster Flash, influenced him in what he was doing, and then allowed him to figure out something else to do with his life. It's so great.
You're talking about a man who has been on some of the biggest stages in the world. And last night, after winning that award, he was sweating. He was at a loss for words. He was so humble in the moment. I want you to listen to this soundbite. Just listen to this.
Yeah, I'm at a little bit of a loss for words right now, you know. It's just like an award named in my honor that's going to be given out every year to different artists that are, like, searching for perfection and trying to be the best that they can be in this art form that we love. It's just like, it's an amazing thing, man.
Yeah. It was wild to see how he was. It was a moment that he felt he was like, this is so big.
Yeah.
I mean, he grew up in the shadows of the Grammys and these award shows.
Down
and now
the street in Compton.
Right down the street. And now here he is, and he has an award named after him as a global icon. It was a beautiful moment backstage to see that.
It really was. And also, I think for the Grammys especially, to honor hip-hop in that way, when they've had a past with hip-hop that isn't so clean, I thought was...
past, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Now, let me ask you this.
Yes.
Trevor Noah, I thought he did an amazing job, because you could hear so many people, like, not paying attention, and that's hard. I was a stand-up and no one paid attention to me, so, like, I get that. But, like, I thought he did a great job. What was your favorite moment from him?
Oh gosh, there were so many. I thought he had some really, really great moments. I liked how they decided to incorporate real folks into the telecast and bring some fans in, and then also have people's families and loved ones and friends introduce them. I thought that was a really great inclusive moment for the Grammys. But I thought Trevor was just cute, and I liked how he did The Rock and Adele, that intro. I thought that was a really cute moment. I don't think Jay-Z appreciated him not saying Beyonce Knowles Carter when he said Beyonce Knowles. I think Jay-Z kind of looked at him like, excuse me, sir?
Excuse me.
She said, hey, Miss Carter, on the record.
And I will tell you this. Trevor gave a great wrap-up of the night afterwards when he came out, and he was just flying high off the adrenaline. He gave us a great wrap-up. You will see. And I know we got to go, but can I say one thing?
Yes, please.
Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, and Chris Stapleton were amazing.
Favorite moment of the night.
But hold on. I got to say this. When Smokey came up on our platform and we talked to Smokey, it was my favorite moment because we were just chit-chatting and everything, and Nichelle came over to ask him about his new album. At 82 years young, Smokey has a new album coming out, and what's it called, Nichelle?
Oh, y'all know. You know what the album's called,
Go ahead and say it.
Gasms.
Yeah. Mr. Get Your Grandma.
Just Google the song titles. Just Google the song titles.
That's inspiring.
I saw
He's a lover, not a fighter.
Wow, that's
He's a lover.
He is a lover. Kevin and Michelle, we love when you stop by.
Quiet storm.
Thank you so much for giving us the scoop today. And we hope Ben Affleck is feeling better because of all of his memes. We'll be right back. Thank you, guys.
Come on.
DBL is celebrating trailblazers in Black history. We're recognizing some of the first Black Americans to break color barriers in sports. Moses Fleetwood Walker, better known as Fleet, was the first African American to play Major League Baseball in the 19th century. Walker played 42 games for Toledo Blue Stockings, and no other African American would play in the major leagues until Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in 1947.
Several tweets claim MSNBC host Yasmin Vasugian couldn't possibly get myocarditis because of the common cold and that it had to be from the COVID-19 vaccine. So the question, can you develop myocarditis from the common cold? Let's verify. Our sources, cardiologist Dr. Pyle Coley, Johns Hopkins Medicine, and the American Heart Association. According to Johns Hopkins, myocarditis occurs when the heart muscle becomes inflamed. They go on to say myocarditis is rare and it usually is caused by an infection in the body, most commonly by the common cold, influenza, or COVID-19.
When we see a patient who comes in with myocarditis, one of the first questions that I'll ask is, have you had a cold recently? When you have a cold, it activates the immune system. The immune system gets confused, attacks your own heart cells instead, and causes inflammation of the heart.
Dr. Coley tells us myocarditis is not a new disease, but doctors are reporting it more since the pandemic began.
We have seen overall a higher number of cases of myocarditis because we're looking harder for myocarditis.
The COVID-19 vaccine can cause cases of myocarditis. However, Dr. Coley says these cases would develop within the few weeks, not later down the line.
Because it happens all with that immune activation phenomena. So temporarily, it occurs soon after that exposure, whether that exposure is the vaccine or, in this particular case, a virus.
In a study by the American Heart Association, researchers looked at medical records of people hospitalized for myocarditis within 21 days of receiving the Pfizer or Moderna COVID vaccine. They found out of the 7.3 million people receiving the first, second, or third dose, only 36 people were hospitalized for myocarditis. So we can verify that while some people can get myocarditis from the COVID vaccine, doctors say you are far more likely to get it from the common cold. With your Verify, I'm Megan Bragg.
Taxpayers will get a few extra days this year to file their returns, but this tax season brings several changes. So is it important to file early? Let's verify. Our sources are Mark Stieber, Chief Tax Officer at Jackson Hewitt, and 11 Alive financial expert Andrew Poulos. Breaks like the child tax credit and earned income tax credit are returning to pre-pandemic levels, so the average refund will be smaller this year. Stieber says anyone who is getting a refund will get it faster the earlier they file. Plus, it's a good way to avoid identity thieves.
We know those pesky data thieves out there with breaches and other types of ways on the dark web to get your data. Many will try to file an early tax return and swoop around you and steal your tax refund.
However, you don't want to rush. Poulos says filing before you get all of the pertinent documentation is a problem.
If you file a return that's not complete or accurate, meaning there's missing information, then you're going to get a notice from the IRS probably in 3, 6, 9 months from now, and then you're going to have to clean up that mess.
Your tax documents should already be on the way. The deadline to send them to you was January 31st.
If you didn't get your W-2 or 1099, you'll need to take some action because you'll need that information to file a complete and accurate tax return.
The IRS hired thousands of new employees to help taxpayers through the process.
Hopefully this is going to be a much smoother filing season for both taxpayers and for the IRS.
So we can verify. It's true. It is a good idea to file your return earlier than later, but not before you have all the information you need to file a complete return.
Today's sandals word of the day is scuba. Watch DBL every day for a word of the day. Then enter at dailyblastlive.com/sandals for your chance to win a 4-day, 3-night escape for 2 to beautiful Jamaica.
Ooh, lovely. A lot of people writing in saying nothing like reliving your youth by listening to and watching nostalgia. I also have to give a shout out to Taylor Swift. When you danced all night for the cameras, like we know you know that we are watching. You're the problem, it's you.
Wow.
Welcome back and enjoy. I'm a Swiftie.
Not anymore.